Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. For this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a really slow and soulful blues lead that's fairly easy to play. A lot of different influences that go into this. There's some Curtis Mayfield, there's some Jimi Hendrix. It's just sort of a hybrid of styles. But what's really cool about this is it's played in a trio scenario. So it's just bass, guitar, and drums. So when you're playing along with a jam track, you're just going to hear the bass and drums. You get to fill in all the guitar work, which means the rhythm, the fill licks, the leads, and really control the dynamics of it. So we're going to be exploring all of that in this lesson. So I've got the lesson split into two parts, and this video will take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and get the tablature and get the MP3 jam track so that you can practice playing everything we're about to learn in this video, you can get those things by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP297. Alright, so let's talk about tone settings. I always get questions on that. And the good news for you is that you can get this sound out of any amp, a combination that you've got. You don't need pedals or anything. And what you do is you dial in a little bit of overdrive, or gain, if that's what it's called on your amp, a little bit of that, and just a little bit of reverb if you've got that on your amp. If you don't, that's okay, you can skip that. But that's all I'm doing, just a little bit of overdrive, a little bit of gain. And you can see if I turn the guitar volume all the way up, and by the way, I'm on the neck pickup of the guitar, so this is a Stratocaster neck pickup, the tone is all the way up. But if I play full volume on the guitar, you can see that there's a little bit of bite to the sound. It's still clean, it's very clean, but it's got enough bite that you get some sustain. And that's why I add that overdrive, so that if I'm playing something like that, I can let the note ring out a little longer. I find that if I'm playing just clean channel, it sounds nice, it's real clean, but it's too clean, and the notes just sort of fall flat. They don't have enough sustain to be able to play anything meaningful. That's just an opinion thing. A lot of great players play clean channel. It's just what sound you're going for. Okay, so the song is in the key of A, and there's 4 chords that we're going to be playing, basic chords. There's an A chord, there's an F sharp minor, there's a D, and then back to the A. So it's your 1 chord, your relative minor, or your 6 chord, your 4 chord, and then back to the 1 chord. And that's the cycle. Those 3 chords are the cycle through most of it. But there's this extra little part where I go into a G chord, just to keep it interesting. So that would be a chord that's outside of the family that we're playing within. So if we're looking at the song in the key of A, and you look at the A major scale, you're not going to see a G in the A major scale. So you would consider that from a theory perspective, this would be considered a borrowed chord. But that's okay, you can do that. Like if you're writing your own stuff and you want to have something that sounds interesting, you can borrow chords that live outside of the number system. If you're locked, don't think that you have to stay locked into that number system. You can borrow other chords, and so you change keys temporarily for that one little moment in time, but then the song switches back to the original key. It just keeps it interesting for the listener, and it's also fun to play over. Okay, so the first time through, when I started this, there's a set of notes, a little pickup that goes like this. And we're going to start with that. Now, a lot of what we're going to be doing is knowing when not to play, or not playing. As counterintuitive as that may sound, when you're playing something that's real spacey like this with a lot of dynamics, it sounds nice to just like let the air kind of surround itself around the notes, and let there be space in between those notes. I find that some of the most interesting music is when there's a lot of air like that, and it just makes it fun to play and fun to listen to. So this pickup comes in on the 4. So if you're counting it, we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it starts with a downstroke with the open 6th string. I do a hammer onto the 2nd fret 6th string. Do an upstroke on the open 5th string. Downstroke on the 2nd fret 6th string. And then another upstroke on the open 5th string. And that's just a pickup note to get us into A. Now those notes are coming out of the A major pentatonic scale. Now just remember that, so that if you're wanting to improvise a little fill lick or something in the key of A, you've got those notes to play with. So that's how I started that. And then I do an upstroke on the A chord. It's an upstroke followed by a quick downstroke. But the downstroke is a muted downstroke. So it goes like this. And really what I'm doing is I'm killing the sound there. I'm doing the upstroke to let the notes ring out, and then quickly killing that sound with my right hand. And then we go to the F sharp minor chord. That's also an upstroke with the right hand. So you got to keep those upstrokes. Now with the F sharp minor, I don't think I killed it. I think I just let it ring out. And then I go into the 4 chord, which is the D, and play that twice. Now those are 2 downstrokes, and you can see that I'm playing my D chord up here using the A chord shape out of the caged system, C-A-G-E-D. If you want to know more about caged, you can check out EP 273, and I go into detail on what caged is. But that's what I'm doing. I'm playing the D chord up in this position, and I hit it twice, and then a muted strum after that, and then back to your A chord. So you can see all we're doing thus far is we're just playing the chords. It's just creating a kind of a percussive element, by doing the muted strums and letting notes ring out and stuff. So all of that stuff's important, especially when you're playing along with a jam track. You're going to hear it's very stripped down. It's just the bass thumping along and the drums, and you're filling in all the space. All right, let's back up and count that out. So we have 1, 2, 3. Right? Already nice. Now to get us back into it again, I played. It's really more of a bluegrass lick, but that's what I'm doing. So I'm keeping the bar there on the 2nd fret, and this is a great fill lick, by the way. You can use this in blues and everything going forward. So I start with a downstroke on the 5th string, open 5th string, and there's a hammer on. So from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret. So it looks like that. That's all on the 5th string. There's an upstroke on the 4th string. Now remember, that's behind the bar here on the 2nd fret. There's a downstroke. Ring finger goes down to the 4th fret, 4th string. And then there's the upstroke on the 3rd string behind the 2nd fret. And then I came back down and hit that open 5th string just to sort of reiterate that A note. So that's the little fill lick the 2nd time through. That's a great fill lick. And you can use that. And you'll hear that in a lot of stuff that I do because I use that lick all the time. All right, so after that, instead of playing the F sharp minor chord again, I went, just hit 2 notes. And just to show you how you can strip it down to just single strings, you can do that because you've already established that's an F sharp minor the first time through. So the 2nd time through, it was okay just to play the notes out of the scale there. So let me show you how to play those. That would be the 3rd string, that would be the 4th fret. We're going to do a full bend, and then we're going to play that 3rd string, 4th fret without the bend. And as to where that is, I'm thinking about pentatonic right here. This would be pattern 1 of the major pentatonic scale for A, but it's also pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale for F sharp minor. That's confusing to some people, but think about that. It's the same scale though, and that's why any of those notes in this little area here are going to work. So if you didn't like that, you could do something else with those notes. But that's how that relative minor works. The relative minor, every major chord has a relative minor chord, and every minor chord has a relative major chord. And they both share the same pentatonic scale. So if you want to know more information about that, the relative minor, relative major thing, and sharing scales, you can check out EP 290 where I go into more detail on that. Okay, so after I played that, then we go, this is where the song goes to that G chord that I was telling you about, that borrowed chord. It's a G7 chord. So let me show you how to make it. You just start with a G major bar chord, take your pinky off. That's a G7 chord by taking your pinky off. I just thought the G7 sounded better there. And you can see I'm releasing the tension each time I hit it. So it's not going... So I'm letting the notes sort of just happen for a moment and then be muted. came up to a G sharp, and then back to the A. So you can see it's just going from this chord, we're just walking it back up to our 1 chord. And that's a common technique, by the way, if you like the sound of that being out of the box. And this works even when you're playing lead, is you can take whatever your 1 chord is and go 2 frets down. I use that all the time and play little triads down 2 frets down in my leads. It's just a really cool effect. All right, so let's back up and play the first time through this cycle. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Right? It's already starting to sound pretty cool. Even without the jam track, it sounds pretty cool. Now, once we come up to that A chord, it's actually that A7. I used that same 7 shape and just came up to the 5th fret here with a bar. Then I went and played that. Now, what is that? That's the F sharp minor chord. It's just another voicing for it. You can check out EP275 as a caged reminder for minor chords. So the EP273 goes through all the major chords, but EP275 goes through your minor chords. You've got this chord shape, you've got this chord shape. And that's all I'm doing is I'm playing the F sharp minor chord in a different voicing. So here's how you make it. I've got my pinky and my ring finger on the 7th fret, strings 2 and 4. I've got my middle finger on the 6th fret, string 3. And then my index finger is on the 5th fret, string 1. And I gave that chord a little bit of vibrato. It's just shaking it with the left hand. If you can't do that, you can just let it ring out. Or if you've got a whammy bar or a tremolo, you can use that as well. I got that effect from Robert Cray, watching the way he would do these just dramatic chord vibratos. I just think that's so cool. All right, so backing up, we have. And then we go to the D, and that's what I did that. So I was thinking that D chord like we did the first time, but instead of putting my pinky there, I put my index finger there. That would be on the 7th fret, barring the first 4 strings. So I'm playing strings 4, 3, and 2. And then I let my pinky come all the way up here to the 10th fret, 2nd string. And if you're wondering what that is, this is also covered in the caged system. This is another chord shape. So I came up here and grabbed that note and then resolved on the A chord up here, and that's using the D chord shape. So it's just a triad. So you can see that's your A chord, but we're playing it up here. So if you think of your D chord down in 1st position, you slide it all the way up so that your middle finger and your index finger are on the 10th fret, strings 1 and 3. That's what I'm playing there. And then I went. So while that's ringing out, I played this, it would be the sus chord. sus4 chord. So I've got my pinky coming up here to the 10th fret 1st string, and I do a pull off. And then played strings 2 and 3. All right, so let's back it up from that G chord. We have. And then I played the F sharp minor here. It's actually an F sharp minor 7. So think about, and this again is from EP275 where we go through the minor chord shapes. So we've now played our F sharp minor here, we played it here, and now I'm playing it up here. I just took my pinky out of that to give it that F sharp minor 7 sound. So after we played the A, I played that, and you can see to play that I'm just barring on the 9th fret, all 6 strings, and I've got my middle finger on the 10th fret, 2nd string. My ring finger is on the 11th fret, 4th string. And this is where the song goes back to the G part, right? And so I ended up playing it here. And what I'm doing is I'm just looking at this G chord shape. So again, this is out of caged. We have our G chord here. We have another one here. So I'm barring the first 4 strings on the 7th fret, middle fingers on the 8th fret, 2nd string, ring fingers on the 9th fret, 4th string. And I did the hammer on. This is that Keith Richards thing. I've talked about this quite a bit, where Keith will hammer on from the 1 to the 4 chord. And that's what I'm doing here. So I'm barring here on the 7th fret, strings 4, 3, and 2. And I'm hammering on to that G chord. So I'm going from the D chord to the G chord. And that's what I did. Down, up, down, up. You can see I keep the bar there and I'm just lifting these fingers as I do the upstroke. And slide it up. So that would be your G sharp, just like before. And then I came all the way up here, which would be your A chord again, using this chord shape. So you can see what we've done is we've actually just repeated those chords. We've just played them in different places on the neck, but I thought this would be a great way to sort of expose you back to the caged lesson that was done a while ago, and just give you some other examples of how useful it is. And so in the second time, so those are the first two cycles through. The third time through, which will be in the next video, we get into all the single string stuff. And everything we're going to be playing, believe it or not, even though there's all these chords, even that G chord, we're going to be staying in the A major or the A minor pentatonic scale. So it'll be very simple from a scale perspective. All right, so let's back up and play through that one more time, and then I'll see you in part 2 for the rest of this. And if you're not a premium member, you got to check it out. It's very affordable, and I put out lessons like this every week, high-quality lessons. I've been doing it for many, many years now, and so there's the whole back catalog you would have access to. All right, so here we go from the beginning. 1, 2, 3.